Hey, welcome to Parable. We got a special episode for all of y'all listeners. We got all of the original CML, Crucify Me Later group here. These are the people that we started the podcast with like a year ago when we were first trying to start a podcast.
Believe it or not, this is where it started.
Season 2.
They were the ones who cultivated the energy that we carry today.
Spark the flame. Spark the
We
flame.
strategized.
A lot of intentional strategy was put behind that, but not enough. So Israel and Sam took it further, and that's why there's our parable.
We passed the baton.
So there's a lot of guys on the mic today. We got 7 people in the room, 7 dudes. It's a lot of people. Usually we do like 2 or 3 people. So this is like definitely out of the ordinary, and we probably won't do it again. But we're gonna talk about some topics.
Israel is already not inviting us back before this.
Israel sus.
This is like this is like a animal you can't contain. This is like a new pet. It's not even potty trained yet. So this is gonna be so hey, don't be upset if like you're in the car and like 20 minutes in we clown for a little bit. Don't be surprised by that. It's
Hang
just,
in there.
It's just the result of having 7 dudes talking in a room. You can't. You just
Why are
can't
you
help it.
breaking
That's so good.
expectations?
I'm
of
not
that?
breaking expectation. I'm just like just in case,
Just to be safe.
just to be safe. I know,
Okay.
but I'll be Hey, that's actually great, Ben. Why don't you say that?
All right. Who we got? We got Tim. We got Ben wants to say something. Hey,
Ben
get
doesn't
Ben
want
on
to
the
say
mic.
anything.
We
Introduce
got
yourself,
Jake.
Ben.
We got Tim,
Hi, I'm Ben.
and we got Max Bear.
Yeah. Okay. We got some great people here. We got Ben. He has like 5 coffee shops.
10.
He has 10 coffee shops. We have Tim. Tim does.
He's going global,
He
too.
does estimating. We got Jake. He flips homes up in
villages.
big cities.
I rule the village world.
He does affordable. He does
We
affordable
have-
housing in villages.
Yeah, we got Tim over here. He also builds. We got me. I don't know what I do. We got Max. He's a professional videographer, Black Bear Films,
With our parable.
with our parable.
Just dropped some fire recently too, right?
Local ginger beer.
And,
Local ginger beer.
and we have Sam, professional real estate developer, over here. And we got Tim over on the sound. So we got the whole team in here. We're ready to go. I think one of the topics we really wanted to talk on is a word that gets thrown out every day at every church meeting, at every church service. It's a word called intentionality. And so
Yummy.
you hear this word thrown out like a machine gun. You hear intentionality. Bing, 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 bing.
Let's try it.
Nonstop. You hear it. It's like the word striving. Exactly. You hear striving every other day and you hear intentionality every other day. So what does that actually mean?
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. What is that?
Yeah.
Well, we drop the word, but no one ever actually goes over it, what it actually means. They just say, guys, we got to be intentional about our time.
I think a lot of people overuse it just in a simple sense, but in reality, like when you're actually being intentional, I think it means more than just saying a word just to sound like you know vocabulary. It's genuinely actually being interested in whoever you're talking with, whatever you're talking about, actually caring about that and not just doing something for the sake of doing it, but actually wanting the result and actually following through the whole process, whether it's a conversation, whether it's discipling, whether it's hanging out, whether it's just bringing Jesus into the conversation, bringing Jesus into the room, like just being actually focused on the stuff that matters.
It's good.
I think a good word that we can replace intentionality with is prioritizing. I think it comes down to priority because especially in our society, it feels like everyone's busy like no other. Like in the Western culture, it seems like everybody's on a rush. Everybody's busy for sure, and it comes down to okay. So we do need to become more intentional with like the finer things in life, of course, like what actually matters for me. And sometimes we do need to begin to prioritize like relationship with friends, relationship with other people, and loving on others. You actually do.
Yeah.
It comes down to priority, is what it is.
Yeah. Think about it this way. Everybody has the same amount of time in the day. Everybody, like presumably is working. They're either in school. Everybody has a family. Everybody has a social life. So we're all in the same boat. So you being prioritizing other people, everybody has that same opportunity to intentionally seek after people. Like that's the one thing everybody can do. Maybe we're not all born in the same families or circumstances, but we all have that same exact equal opportunity to pursue people and care about them.
That's good. Whenever I hear, if you're saying intentionality is prioritizing, what that sounds like to me is discipline. And then that raises the question, at least for me, is when you're practicing, prioritizing or being intentional or being authentic with someone or something that, you're interacting with, what comes first? Is it is it true, genuine interest in that? And then from that comes the discipline of prioritizing something? Or is it first just forcing yourself and doing the discipline of prioritizing something or giving whoever, whatever your full attention? And then from that sparks genuine, authentic interest that really captivates.
Define authentic.
Authentic, it's just genuine, something that you're, clearly passionate about. Like, let's say it's a conversation. Let's say you're just, you're walking across church, you bump into someone that you don't really know, you're starting a conversation with them. It's very easy to just move on to your best bud that you see across the room, right?
Like you're kind of used to.
Yeah, exactly. But you want to be intentional with this person. And so I feel like it's a discipline. It's something that comes with practice. It's so easy to kind of just start spacing off and,
100%.
I feel like that's happened to everyone. You'll see someone's eyes kind of bounce left, right. And it's like, okay, you can tell whether someone's being there, genuine or authentic, or another word for, I'd say, authentic is present. Like you said, being there.
Being a big thing, I think, would be being captivated in the moment. Like being like you said, Tim, like being present is a I think very thing that I think in intentionality we overlook, is being present, being captivated with whatever you're doing, whether it's a task, whether it's communicating with someone, whatever it may be, is like you have to be captive, you have to be authentic. But a question I kind of want to raise to you guys would be, how do you, at points, and I can just from personal experience, you be intentional with a person and you're trying your best, but you still can't focus and you still aren't captured with that person. Do you have to forcefully be intentional, or is that something that's within you? Does that come from? Is that something that's you've instilled inside of you? Now you're intentional with talking to people, or is that something that you have to force? So that's a question I want to raise to you guys, because I feel like sometimes I see myself having to force being intentional with people per se.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think it comes down to like maybe finding a point of interest with that person. Maybe, it doesn't have to like with guys that you don't have to be, captivated by them. It's kind of like, I mean, your eyes are beautiful, but it's like but finding just a point of interest, like, like find an excuse, to get together. Like, you know what I mean? Like some boys, it's video games, with others, it's basketball. I mean, for guys, it's not hard to entertain them. Like finding something simple that you can just connect with. And I think from there, like, it grows, right? Like it doesn't have to be like, okay, like this, like we need to do this, and this. It's like, just go hang out, find something fun to do together.
Yeah.
And from there,
you know what I kind of experience, like when I feel the most valued or like paid attention to, it's not like that they're having a conversation. They might not even be interested in what I'm saying. Like they might not even relate at all, but I find myself, feeling the most welcomed and most like, the most intentional conversations are the ones where like someone is like generously honoring me. Like they see things that are good inside of you, because it's really easy to focus on like the quirkiness of somebody, and be like, well, maybe this person's a little more eccentric, loud.
You don't have any.
There's awkward moments in the conversation and I just can't relate to their personality. So it's so tough for me. But if we're always focused on those things, like obviously it's going to be difficult for us to talk to somebody. But like in a business setting, right? Why is it easier to talk to random strangers in business than it is like sometimes at church, you know, with someone maybe we feel a little uncomfortable with? Maybe because like in a business setting, there's like this expectation to honor your customer because like you want to provide good service. But I know from my maybe past experience, like sometimes I don't have that same expectation for myself in a church setting or outside of that, you know, because there's not going to be a repercussion of it. I can kind of just walk away from the relationship and nothing will happen. But if I feel like the easier the conversations, it's the ones where I chose to honor the person and been like, wow, I really love like your voice, or I really
That's why he told me that.
Oh, you got me on the mic.
I remember.
or like, you know, or even just starting simple, be like, you have a really great outfit on, whatever, or like,
I see that Lululemon on you.
yep, you see that Lululemon.
Nice truck, bro.
You gotta start somewhere, honestly. Like, if you have to compliment the dude's truck,
Sick wheels,
Hey,
man.
what you got under there, bro?
Yeah, what's under the hood? What you towing?
I was talking about the hood.
straight up, I don't know. Sometimes that is the easiest way is to talk about someone's truck, like maybe with a guy, and like you have nothing in common, but it's a start, you know? Like honor their truck because they're gonna feel honored at least, you know? So it's a start.
I honor you.
One like practical thing. I'm currently going through How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a really good book. I'm like halfway through and it's very solid, but it specifically talks about this. It's just like finding something that people are interested in and genuinely taking interest in that. Like not just letting the conversation just kind of go through, but actually taking interest in what they're interested in. Because people could talk forever about themselves and things that they're interested in and something that they're passionate about. And it's not like in a, I guess, a mean way, but like you just kind of let them talk. You literally just need to let some people talk and you're just there to listen.
See, but I think what Tim was trying to ask, and I think similar to what I was asking, is so you're saying it's finding that point of interest and being genuinely interested in it. But how do you produce that genuine interest? Is it something that comes from practice, or almost like you kind of have to force your way through it in order to get there? Or is it just, hey, it's there and then I'm going to run with it, and if it's not there, I'm not going to run with it?
I mean, I don't want to go like all Christianese, but I think as a Christian, I think we should be interested in people. I think that's one thing that the one thing that we should be interested in. And like,
and people's interests.
exactly. And if you want to reach people, if you want to actually have intentional conversation, intentional relationships with people, you're going to take steps to do that. And I don't know, for everyone it's different, but some people, they might have to discipline themselves and force them like, hey, okay, this week I'm going to meet one person and I'm just going to be 100% intentional with them. And I just want to actually just be there for them. Not expect anything out of that, not expect to get anything in return, not have literally no expectations, just be there for that person. And I think that's like the Christianese answer, but practically, I think it does take a little bit of like being like forcing yourself to do it, and eventually you'll love it. I think
It's good.
Yeah, you get over like I think part of it too is like why it's really tough to have relationships. Sometimes insecurity gets in the way too when you're having a conversation. And so like imagine like two insecure people trying to talk to each other. Could be trouble, you know? So it helps. I mean, everyone's been in those things where it's like two immature people and there's just like, maybe they're both totally different conversations. I mean, like personality types. And there's just like, it's just really awkward. You're just like, it's just silent. And then eventually you just kind of both walk away. And
after how many seconds of silence do you just walk away?
All right, I'll see you next week.
All right.
No, maybe you don't even say anything. You kind of just both get like this was a bad idea. And so like that is
I think
slightly maturity.
I feel
because
like a good tip would be like doing something where it's like, regardless, I'm gonna have fun. Like I don't care if you're weird, but I'm gonna have a good time with or without
that's a good
you.
perspective.
Be weird.
Yeah, Like, let's go to the arcade. If they're weird, you can be like, they can be weird in the corner. I'll have fun still. You know what I mean? Like, you can do something where it's like, I'm gonna have a good time regardless, but I'm gonna invite you too. And if you can, I feel like consistency is key. Like, keep on inviting them. Keep it like, even if they flake, multiple times. Even if we don't do podcast for a year straight, eventually we just might sit down and have some ramen and a decent conversation.
So-
Maybe, just maybe.
So for intentionality, we have
Point of interest.
genuine interests, or having a point of interest in being genuine,
Captivated
and
by their
authentic
eyes.
and captivated by, and loving their voice. Also, consistency is key.
Hey, that is a
Consistency.
big point.
Major key.
Do you love someone's
And being
voice?
confident in yourself.
Like, do you actually care about what they
I
have to
can't even
say?
listen to my own voice, Israel.
Do you?
Do you linger
I
on
will
every
never listen
word?
back to a
that-
podcast.
Oh. How about
Drips
this?
like molasses.
How about this? Are the words that come out of people's mouths important? Like, is there what they have to say? Is it an important message, or is our message the only one that's important to hear? Or like maybe theirs are more important than this person, and maybe like, okay, if it was a pastor or someone famous, would you give them more of your attention or care, or would you give some random stranger more attention?
I mean,
Because okay, we
Sorry,
we all know the answer to that question.
I wasn't listening. Sorry. What
You-
was-
But
I think it depends what they're talking about. If they're trying to be real and honest, then I think everyone deserves your attention. But I mean, shoot, even I got called out on this just actually a few nights ago. We were with some boys, and we were just clowning, just absolute, just like gone. No productive conversation was had within like a 12-mile radius. And like someone called us out, and I was like, oh dang, like okay, yeah, why don't we actually have some good conversation too? And I think there's different value for different conversations.
yeah, I've been in those rooms.
Jake, we value your voice here too.
About what?
We value your voice.
Oh, nice. Thanks.
that was it. That was good.
1 second. I think we know what intentionality is. We're just gonna drop this little thing.
Nugget.
Pursuing relationships. Oh wow! I'll leave it there.
Hello.
Well,
Romantically.
romantic.
So
I think
So we have three
think-
married guys here.
Looks
Perfect.
Four
like
not
room
married
is
guys.
split. Yeah,
I think the room is heavily split right now.
evenly.
I think we have one of every in a relationship, married, and we have couple
Single.
Doesn't matter. We're not pointing fingers, right?
We have
Who cares?
on
It's complicated.
To lay out the room. Though.
we have on the hunt. We have
Resting.
Facebook status is it's complicated.
it's complicated.
That's a gift. He doesn't receive it.
No, but for real, I guess the married guys could start off. What is your guys'
No. We were actually gonna flip this.
No. Okay.
we
check-
actually want to hear advice from the single guys so that we know, because we don't know, so we want to know what does it take to have a
You don't
fruitful
know what
and
it's like to be single. You never been single. What you talking about?
no. I'm
Okay.
I'm saying we're
Okay. Enough of this.
tell us what is a healthy pursuit of marriage and happiness.
Pursuit or
Pursuit.
or in,
The
or
pursuit.
in the
In
like
the
you are
pursuit.
married.
No.
Like what are you asking?
Hey,
Yeah,
settle down. Okay, so what I'm trying to ask, and then we can kind of chime in, is like,
We'll be the ones doing the asking here.
okay, it's how did you, like, because we're gonna go into the story aspect. How did you, the married people in the room, right, pursue a relationship? Because maybe you didn't only ever pursue one, right? Maybe you've talked to people, you've experienced other relationships, but like, what was the story of like the pursuit of finding a spouse for like the rest of your life? What was that like? Because I think each person has a different story and a different process. None of them were the same. Like some had more stuff happen, or it was.
Two words.
Internship to help out.
Internship was the
It's a different story for everybody.
Two words. Christian mingle.
Wow. Ben probably has some good stuff to say about this.
What?
He has a really good
I need
story.
a more general question.
gone for 3 months, bro, and you were trying to get married.
Hey,
year and
so
a half.
hey, make sure you talk with the mic in front of you.
Come on, keep talking.
Closer.
Okay.
What's your question?
So the question is, what was the story like, or what did you notice while pursuing a relationship? Because
Well, I can tell you my story, but it's going to be very unique. You need to ask me a more. You need to ask me a more
Can I
broader
can I,
question.
can I interrupt? I think
Yeah.
the better question is like not what is your story, because that's personal, but like what's your overall, like, maybe would you guys be, I mean, question, tell me if I'm wrong.
Takeaway.
No, like what's your overall takeaway of
Yes or no?
of do I get married or not? No, but the question
Yeah, I need a question. I need a question.
No, I mean that's
Answer
a
it.
big question. Do I get married or not? I mean that's
Jacob, you answer this. I don't.
they
you know
didn't
what they're
answer the question,
They
but
didn't
I feel
ask a
like you're
question.
asking kind of like, I mean, yeah, I don't even know.
what were you question?
Basically,
What things were
put the puzzles together?
what things were important when you guys were single looking for a girl? Like, what did you guys realize
go.
was very important that
There we
like
go.
the characteristics that your wives have that you're like, man, I'm so glad that I went after her because she did A, B, and C.
wow, Max, good question.
Yeah, like
Very good.
what was something that I guess that drew you guys to your wives?
And then if you can follow up with are those characteristics that you saw something that withstood in marriage? Like, is that like you saw those and it's like now in
hefty.
marriage, it's like, wow, that really paid off that I saw this in this girl.
Well, like, so what I would say, well, my experience is going to be totally different than what Tim and Jake's are. Like,
Of course,
I
just
wasn't.
speak on your own
I,
experience.
yeah, no, I wasn't.
Glad it's not the
I
same.
wasn't single and looking for a relationship. I was just kind of doing my own,
Vibing.
yeah, I was doing my own thing, and I
we
see
were in
this.
church, and I was like, hey,
No.
Check
So
it-
I
check
I
it
see
out.
this girl, and then kind of
Israel plugged you.
in a way brush it off for like the next 8 months.
Right.
I let it like see her, she'd walk by, and then
Do a double take.
I'm like, I'm just like, no.
No.
I would see her, and then my mind would just float somewhere else because I was just not. It was not what I wanted. And so I think Israel kind of pushed it. They kind of pushed it onto me, but you kind of just. For me, it was really simple. It's like we hung out. I was like, okay, like I like this person. The more we hung out, the more I kind of. Yeah, for me, it built on like little by little, every little hangout. I liked a certain thing more and more, and then you get to a point where you're just like I really like this person, and if I would to go to like just like leave this friendship / relationship, whatever it was at the time, like if I was to go and kind of do my own thing, my mind would still be on that person, and like even if I pursued different relationships, I would think my mind would still be on that person. So like for me, it wasn't like hard to decide. And another thing was like peace. You have peace about it. Like it's not like, cause I don't know, like you guys might have other experiences where you like go like even for like a coffee date or something with a girl, and you just like you feel weird about it, like it's just awkward. Like you're not like you can be having a good time, but even then you're just like you're not calm about it. I don't know if you guys get what I'm saying, but like
Yeah, I get it.
every time like you're hanging out with
Yeah.
this person that you feel like they're for you, there was like peace through the whole thing. Like you could be doing whatever and you're just like, okay, like I feel good about this. So I don't know. I hope that answers you guys' question.
that was a good response. Jake?
Yeah. For me, I think a really big thing was vision for the future and like what kind of I see myself doing in the future and what she saw with business, with being in church, with being in, creating music, writing, recording, all this stuff. I think that that was like probably the biggest thing that I was like, okay, like this is like worth pursuing, going on a date and stuff. And
I'd say it was mostly
Talking.
calling.
yeah,
feel like your
calling. I
callings-
think calling is big. I mean, for us, kind of, and we just started talking. It's funny. She did an internship. I don't know, whoever's listening, you guys probably know. But she was an intern, and technically I wasn't allowed to date her, but
But guitar lessons are okay. So that's the loophole.
she saw, yeah, that's the loophole. So she saw me playing guitar and she came up. Actually, I think someone else wanted lessons.
Sam and David.
Sam and
I remember
David,
the story from them.
two
They're
guys.
like, we went to this guitar lesson. This guy didn't look at his watch.
Yeah. So two guys wanted lessons and then she came along and yeah, it was GG after that. But
Hey, did you teach her though?
I think she knows like 3 chords, but
Hey, you were tugging on some other strings.
yeah,
I'll tell you that much.
hey, there we go. But yeah, I think the biggest thing for that, we ended up getting married. I mean, I think calling was like the biggest thing. And we we hit it off really well and one thing led to another and that's it. Dessert.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Calling, peace.
Man.
Tim, what do you got for us?
Anyone?
Was there a question in the beginning? There's
What
personalities and characteristics.
Main characteristics.
Right?
Mike.
So I'd say, I mean, there's a few. For me, it's also different because I knew Janetta for a very long time since I was in middle school, and then we reconnected. And I remember when we reconnected, it was just like really refreshing to have a company that's like, I don't know, you just felt peace. I'd say I'd agree with Ben, is a certain just expression of peace there. But also I think characteristics wise, I mean, for men, I think it's in the long run, you see, okay, wife, yes, best friend, that's very important. You know, knowing that you can be best friends with someone, knowing that you can mess around and goof around with someone, but also trust and know that no matter what, they have your back. Also, I mean, is she going to be a good mom? Like that was probably a really big thing when I like vision wise in the future, like I saw Janetta being the best mom in the world. She just has a lot of maternal instincts with her, whether it's being around kids or even myself, you know, she's just very caring.
You got a kid on the way too. Congratulations.
Yes, sir. And maybe that's why it's being highlighted right now. I don't know, probably.
Good job.
But and I'd say for me, like there was a really like big boldness that I saw in Janetta. I knew that no matter what we went through in life, I mean it was awesome because like, especially, I mean, our dating was not super long, but it was long enough to the point where I felt like we went through a lot and we were able to be just completely honest with each other, have transparency. And no matter what, it seemed like she was in it for the long run. And she was just bold in everything. She was bold in the ups. She was bold in the downs. And she was just always just chugging along. And boldness was a huge thing that I saw and heard that I, you know, to this day, it's like just really, really strong. Even when she feels like she's in her like personal zone of kind of feeling down or feeling, what's it called? Like not feeling like her like bold self compared to others that I can think of. It's just not even on the same scale. So.
Praise God.
Praise God. That's good.
Yeah.
Like what was the difference though, like transitionally, like where you had maybe certain expectations beforehand, like going into relationship, and then after marriage, what were the new like what was the revelation after?
like the question
all
that Tim
good.
asked. I don't think any of you guys really answered that, but like the dating versus marriage, practical, actual.
Yeah.
It's way better.
What
Like,
life
I thought
is
there-
actually.
I
what
thought
life
there was
How
That's
you
right. It's
envisioned
like
it
kinda-
versus how it really be.
Yeah.
It's way better.
Jeez, that's deep.
I think
Our wives are gonna be listening.
Exactly. That's why I'm like,
I'm gonna stay silent.
Alrighty, and that just about wraps up the podcast.
No, it's amazing. I mean,
Those are some wise men right there. They know. They know.
yeah, let's wrap this
I'm
up.
happy.
Well, that's the reality, gentlemen. We lost him.
No, I think I'll be honest. I think that for me, a bit. I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this, but no, I think that personally for me, I always saw like my wife. You kind of look at her like almost as like your mom, like in a sense that she's gonna cook for you, she's gonna clean for you, she's gonna do your laundry, she's gonna pick up your nasty socks, she's gonna do like all this stuff that my mom's a beast. She would clean my room, like all this stuff, like do my laundry, because my mom's the best. And yeah, shout out, mom.
shout out, Mama.
And so like,
Mama Dukes.
and so like in the beginning, I was like, oh, like this could be sick. Like not gonna have to do anything, don't have to do dishes, don't have to do all this stuff. And then it came down to it, and you actually have to do it, because she's
miss
not,
my mom.
you're like, oh, I miss my mom. But now it's kind of like, you kind of figure out like, oh, what is she like not mind doing? And what is she like not like doing? And whatever she doesn't like doing, I'm going to do it. Like, no matter if it sucks, if it's vacuuming, if it's doing like all these little things that you think are like, oh, whatever, she'll just do it later, especially if she works or whatever, or you have a kid, like, it doesn't matter. Like if she doesn't want to do that, or she hates her, you see that she like gets mad, or she's like, oh, like, it's kind of like frustrating, whatever. I just went and just did it. Like I just changed how I just thought, because I was like, okay, either she's going to have the suckiest life ever, or I'm just going to go and do the dishes, And it's literally like those little things, like doing the dishes or doing your own laundry or whatever. That's just like, that's it. It's the money. That's how you, and then you have a good night after that.
Is that something
And
that
just being honest.
Is that something that you guys like?
the little things.
You communicated with her, or is that something that you guys each have figured out yourself, or one of you communicated with one another, like, hey, like I feel like you should be doing this or that, or is that something?
No,
that you
I
guys
think I just kind of
worked it out.
You kind of just work it out, and I mean, it's not like I've made it. I mean, literally, I've been married for a year.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
Dang.
you kind of just like end up, you see something. I mean, as like a man, I feel like you just go and just take care of it. Like just because if you go, you have a business, you're making money, you're doing all this work, and you come home and you don't do anything. I feel like that's like not good at all.
Yeah.
Like you need to like be in charge of your house, not just making money, but you see your wife is struggling, you go take care of it. Like help her, not just by talking to her, but actually taking action and doing the dishes.
good
And
work.
That's it. That's good. And it's literally little things like doing the dishes. I feel like for us was just like little things. Like, I don't know why I keep saying dishes, but I do the dishes all the time.
Christina,
I hate dishes.
At work, I do the dishes all the time too. So it's kind of like, I don't know why I say dishes, but
It was just your cross to bear. You
Yeah.
picked up your cross.
and
to
now
those
I'm just
dishes.
like mobbing, like throw those dishes in there and just freaking go.
Someone buy him a dishwasher.
So, I need 2 of those suckers.
Come on, Jake's a king.
Yeah.
That's a king mentality right there.
I'd say just to answer the question in general, I mean, overall, do it. Yes, it's amazing. Like, started on a good note. Like, I mean, there's something like almost like unfathomable. Like, once you get married, you like instantly feel this like, boom, like this is that partnership. This is that, like, not to get too Christianese, as Max
Bro, just
says,
do it.
but like this is like Jesus and the bride. Like this is the head and the body. Like this is, your own church. This is family. Like this is really like where you feel like you become your own. Like the amount of growth that you will do in that first, I feel like, couple months of marriage is like, it's incredible. Like, not even just like, oh, like fighting through the battles, but of just like growth as in like you're just constantly learning. You're constantly like evolving with one another. Kind of like where Jake had his experiences with the dishes. He said it wasn't even really something that he had to communicate. I mean, a lot of the times you will have to communicate, but there are a lot of things that are kind of just this unspoken like chemistry between you and your Ezer, your partner, your helper. And I mean, yeah, just in general, it's incredible. Like there's just this unspoken like truth between one another that you get to just build this life on. And yeah.
Yeah, I'll say another thing. 4 months into our marriage, I tore my Achilles, so I was like out of it. Like
Commission.
yeah, I was like on the couch chilling like all the time, like literally because I couldn't do anything. Like I mean, it was kind of nice because I wasn't working then. You know, Christina went and worked. I kind of just chilled at home, played video games and stuff. But no, I think that was a crazy time because I like 4 months in, I did that. And then I kind of got like halfway recovered, like halfway through my recovery, like 6 months or 7 months in. And then we ended up taking on my parents' adult family home. And that's a whole nother story in itself. But it was just like this crazy, like last year, that was like a really like crazy journey. But I feel like God's hand was just kind of like over us because throughout the whole thing, we had just so much peace about it and we just went into it together. And I feel like, I don't know, we just, like that whole striving, you know, we always say, oh, like if you're striving, you know, you have to work hard, then it's not right or something. But this was literally like, we felt like you come in and we're talking about it and you're like, you feel good? I feel good. Let's go do it. And that's just how it went. And like, it's crazy because like, I don't know, just the whole situation with the foot injury and not being able to like, I mean, simply like making yourself a cup of coffee because your foot is in so much pain or you have your like ankle angled all the way down so that way you can't even stand on it, you know? And so it's like these like little crazy things that happen, but throughout the whole thing, it's just been like a wild journey, but it's been really cool to see kind of where we are now. And it's awesome. Marriage is awesome. So
It's awesome.
So we're good. We know everything and
we are
no, I'm
masters.
just kidding.
Black belt.
It was probably a
White
pretty
belts.
sobering experience, though. Yeah, it probably brought out like the flaws inside of you. I mean, you guys are all perfect, but it probably brought out some.
Oh yeah. It's
Yeah.
still bringing out flaws every day.
Yeah,
Iron
Everything.
sharpens iron.
it's like a refining process.
Come on, somebody. Come on.
Because you'll have a good day, you know, and then the next day
Yeah.
something happens at work, you come home, you're all mad.
How about
you know,
this?
and then-
Like, what's it
every
like
day.
on the bad days? You know, like let's talk about those kind of
Just depends
experiences.
on your level of stubbornness.
Oh wow!
And thank you for
yeah, pride.
Thank
yeah,
you for
that
joining
Ben has
pride
something
thing
to
is
say.
a-
Ben has
is a
something to
juicy
say.
thing
Thank you
right
for
there.
joining us this podcast, and we'll see you guys
fine.
next time.
That's like the 10th time you guys have used this joke.
Well, it was real that
But-
time. It wasn't a joke that time.
That'd be a good cliffhanger,
I guess
though. Am I right?
guys.
Am I right? Am I right?
I guess that is one of the big things with relationships is all relationships kind of bring out like there are bad moments in all relationships, and so I guess how do we deal with those the way Christ would do it if we're gonna go into that kind of lane, right? Like how do we approach those? Because how much do we value the relationships? Like when do you pick and choose? Do you pick and choose your battles, or are you just dead to yourself, or is it about winning, or what is the motivation and the goal when it comes to like the bad times, and like what are you seeking out of those times? Because whatever financial disparity, depression, disagreements, you have different views, like how do you deal with those? Like we can talk about like either friendships or even marriages, and because I think they all have validity, because every type of relationships has its
What
its
does
battles.
validity mean?
Truth.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know, whoever wants to go on that, because I think we all have experience in those areas.
I mean, I'll just quickly say that I think that it's similar to our relationship with the Lord. I mean, it's you feel like you're it's trying to be independent instead of like dependent on God. It's the same thing I feel like with marriage. Like whenever you have those bad days, right? That might look like, and usually will result in having disputes with one another and just fighting one another. And it's like self-destruction. Like you are one. And usually when you're fighting is because you're not looking at yourself as one. You're looking at yourself as two individuals fighting one another. And, from God's perspective, it's like you guys are you're like two.
Dog chasing its tail.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're it's self-destruction. And it's just from that like independence, like, well, this is what I want and this is what I think it's best for me, or even what really for men, I think it's what I think is best for the both of us, because I'm the man, I'm the head of the household. I'm going to make this ultimate decision. But again, it's simply like, yes, you're the head, but at the same time, it's just coming into that position humbly. I mean, yeah, it's no matter what, I think, especially in the beginning, I mean, like only being married for 2 years, like these things, it's like, it's that knowledge, but it's like, it still has to become a revelation that is kind of like driven into your heart, that you can like almost like quickly or instantly catch that. You're like, oh, like, what is this? Like, what is this really about? I mean, is this even worth self-destructing over? I mean, really, what is that? And so I think ultimately it just comes down to being independent or codependent. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. It says it like there's that saying. It says it takes two to make peace, Or actually, no, sorry. It takes one to make peace, meaning that, hey,
Here's where the heresies I started getting worried, to be honest.
It takes one.
I started getting worried that there's no heresy.
It takes one to make peace, in the sense that there only needs to be one person willing to compromise for the battle to stop. In the sense that like, that is like laying down your own self-interest for the sake of both people to be at peace and to have health between the relationship. Because sometimes like compromise, it's not necessarily that it's going to ruin your life, because there's such a thing as good compromise, in the sense that like you're just laying down your own personal comfort, or even maybe your personal rights, you're laying down your rights as an individual for the sake of another person in order to have peace in the relationship. And this works for both friends too, like, especially if like you have a disagreement, or maybe someone did something between friends, like you had an expectation for them and they didn't come through on their end. You can either stay like whatever in like a hypothetical war with them, or you can make peace and just forgive it. And like, even though you might be in the right, to call them out on it, or, have a problem with them, you could be the one to just lay down your rights as a friend or as a spouse and be like, hey.
But it's different. With friends, like it can come from either or. And you said it takes one to make peace, right? Well, in marriage, it's all on you. It's not on her, because you as the male, the guy, you're the initiator and you're the head. So wherever you're going to lead, whatever the dispute is, she's going to follow. So if you're going to be stubborn and prideful, she's going to be stubborn and prideful right back. And it's not that you can be totally right in your way and you can be 100% right and she'll know it, but you'll still be the one, or I think you should be the one to apologize first, because then she's going to follow your lead, and she's going to, oftentimes, like, you'll know you're 100% right, and girls' minds, they work totally different, and they'll think they're 100% right, and there'll be a dispute. But advice that I got is always be the first one to apologize. Never let her apologize first. Like, the roles are just reversed at that point, and you're not being a man at the end of the day.
Jeez, I'm learning out here.
Right. And I think this is in terms of like friendships and just dating relationships. I'm obviously not married, but I think it's obvious. As it's literally can't make any mistakes.
You knew that. You knew that coming in here.
I did. It's like voicing like your frustrations, not out of anger, but just voicing your frustrations and voicing your what's really what you're really feeling, and not letting assumptions and frustrations build up inside of you, whether that's debates or conflicts with friends and in dating, and I'm assuming the same in marriage, is like making sure you're always clear and transparent. I think one of you guys said it to one another, and in friendships, it's like, hey man, like I just didn't like the way you did this, and voicing it and coming out at it from perspective of love, and not coming at it at a perspective of like, man, why'd you do this? Like not voicing your frustrations from anger, but from love, and just communicating. And it's just like in dating or in marriage, like it's like a team. Like you're a team, and it's like, why would you disrupt the team? Like why would you go against it? When you play soccer and it's 11 versus 11, you're communicating with your team. I'm not gonna give you a through ball when you're running the other way. It's like, no, you're gonna communicate to one another, and it's like, Chelsea. So it's just like voicing your opinion, voicing your frustration, and then in the end coming to compromise. Hey, like I understand, I'll do this better, but like I'd like you if you can do, yada yada yada, and you're just talking it out, communicating, coming at it from perspective of love.
Yeah, because it's not an exact formula on how to make peace. You just learn tools and you get better at it as life goes on.
I feel like just like sometimes we think in like this, like it has to be like this huge, like crazy, like plan to like create peace. I feel like there's literally just like very small practical things, like something my dad taught me.
The dishes.
Yeah.
Literally a 10-minute break. You just walk away and you come back and you guys are good.
Well,
That's
something my dad taught me, or I guess always told me. He's like, no matter what you do, everything could go. You could do everything wrong, but as long as you don't go to sleep mad at each other, like
yeah, I heard that
if you don't, you have to make peace before you fall asleep. Like if you're in bed, you guys are both looking the other way. You feel that it's like this, almost like this wall, and literally all you have to do is just go like this and say, honey, I'm sorry, and then that's it. It's broken like that.
Here's a real question though.
Yeah.
Have you ever had as many times have your dad has told you that, have you had those moments?
I've had it a couple times.
Yeah.
And it's
You reap not the rewards, you reap the consequences.
but it's crazy because like we can talk about like all these things, but when you actually get into that position, like I feel like that intentionality comes into so many things, because you can have all these crazy good points. Your dad, can hammer this teaching into you, your whole life. But when it comes down to it, like literally how I described it, like you're laying in bed, you guys are looking the other way, and literally all you have to do is go like this. Like that's it. Just like a little touch. And you say, hey, I'm sorry, this blah, blah, blah. And that's it. Everything is just as if nothing even happened. Like, and it's literally like how Ben was saying, like getting over your pride, where you don't want to, I'm right, like she has to do it, not me,
Yeah. I think sometimes too, in like relationship with just friends or whoever, any type of relationship, this applies to all. You don't usually know what's going on in the other person's head. And so from a mature like place, you almost appreciate when somebody just tells you the truth of how they felt. They don't even have to necessarily be right, but you appreciate that they communicated it, because it gives you a place to start from. And you would rather be working towards a healthy relationship versus this weird barrier or wall between you that like no one can put a finger on, but it's there, and you're like, I don't know what the heck it is, because if they're not communicating and you're not communicating, you just have like this weird, unpeaceful feeling between you.
Yeah,
100%. Like I can't speak on the relationship part, but I can speak on the friendship part as far as that specifically. Like there's some people that I'll meet, and I'll just go all the way in like we're homies, and sometimes I'll say stuff that I probably shouldn't say, or I do something that like with the guys it's totally fine, but with these people it's not so much. And like whenever someone voices it out and actually says like, hey, I didn't appreciate that, I'm like, oh dang, okay, hey, that's completely my bad. Like I would have never thought twice about it until it's brought up, until it's brought into the light. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. That's my bad. It won't happen again.
Yeah, it just brings like this sober mind on you. Like you really sober up. Because like when you're with friends or you feel comfortable around someone, that is a big topic too. Like feeling comfortable around people, you kind of lose this soberness and you kind of just let whatever come out of your mouth. And it's like kind of that fact, like, I guess you could say this over your marriage or whoever, like, don't let your friends or your spouse or your parents or your family become normal to you, or like lose the same honor you had for them before marriage. Or like I would like, from being at a couple weddings and seeing the vow portion of the wedding, you see so much honor in that. And it's because this is not a normal occasion, you know? And our vows that we have with God or we have with our friends, because we have vows between everybody, you know, it's our promises to, you know, defend, honor, trust, love, right? That you remind yourself of those every day. And it's like that same thing where like Christ renews our minds daily. I would hope that he renews our vows daily. The same things that we told him, whatever, 5 years ago, you know, or 3 years ago or 2 years ago. And he just constantly refreshes us. So that way, like, my friends never become old to me, because it's really unfortunate when that does happen.
Complacency,
Because you get really complacent within friendships and you lose like the honor for each other. Like, obviously we all love each other, but you can get complacent in relationships. I can get complacent with my parents or my friends, or you have coworkers, and you just get so used to seeing them every single day. And you're just like, well, I mean, they'll be there tomorrow. So like, what does it matter what I say to them today? Or if I make a small mistake, like they'll
How do
forget
you keep
about
the
it.
spark?
Hello?
Oh, Ben wants to say something.
Only
leaned
had big
into
eyes
that.
after you said that.
No.
Yeah.
What you were saying about how you see someone every day, and how we get complacent, I think you can see it in parents, but even then you don't have kind of like that one soul intimate relationship with your parents. You have it with your spouse. And so when you kind of see them every day, you're not only doing like the dishes or whatever, you're doing work in your life. It's like all these like life questions that come up, and you can almost get so caught up in it that it could be like almost like this goal setting, like we got to get this done, we got to get this done, and you're missing the whole life part, you know? But even when Jake was talking about like she not wanting to do like, whether it was like the vacuum or taking out the trash or whatever, you know, like my wife left for 3 weeks, and so I had to do all that stuff by myself. And it was a huge eye opener, like 6 months into marriage, and then boom, by myself. It was crazy. Doing all that stuff by myself kind of made me realize like the part that she played, like how much stuff was actually being done without me even noticing. Like, because like you can like, you get up, you go to work, whatever, you come back, and like you don't notice that like this whole room was dirty, but like in your mind is like you come back, it's all clean, and you don't even realize that it took somebody 25 minutes to clean this room, you know? And so when you're by yourself, you kind of learn to I mean, you do all that stuff, and she comes back and you're like so much more like appreciative and everything. So I mean, how to revive that, send them away for a week, you know? I don't know.
Go on a break. Go on a break.
But no, like not.
I'm kidding.
But I think I think it's actually like if
Well, it's just like
if
that
couples,
phrase, it's like you don't know what you had until you lose. Like,
yeah,
till it's
yeah.
gone.
But no,
You
like
really
if
don't know
couples
that.
actually did this, like not like in like, oh, you need to go somewhere for a week, but like if they actually have the opportunity to go somewhere, like
Put yourself in their shoes.
or take like go somewhere literally, and you'll come back and you realize like, wow, this person like was this, and it's totally different though. Like when dating, we were apart for 3 months and at a time, and it's like you're fine, you know, you're still doing you even when they're in town, you're living in the same time, you see each other, but you still wake up by yourself and you still like plan out like, oh hey, like I'm free at 12. And so we can meet up like at like 12:30, we can get coffee, whatever. You hang out for like 3-4 hours, or you can even hang out for the rest of the day and you still go home at the end of the day. But when you're married, you're waking up every day with this person. You can't make plans and then be like, all right, I'm going. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm right here, you know, because she has no plans, you know? So you can't just like kind of live, you know, your own life. You have this whole other person that you're doing life with.
Or you're like Tim, and I'll hit up Tim, and he's like, yeah, let's hang out. I'm like, yo, let's hang out. He's like, yeah, I'm down. Let's do it. And then an hour later, he's like, hey, bro, we had plans tonight. So,
Yeah.
and then you just, and then
I'm pretty
me
good
being
with that.
single, I sober up. I'm like, oh shoot, like, yeah, it sucks.
Other two.
Other Tim. And then he's like, oh, bro, like, I gotta go pick up my girlfriend. Like,
Always got me.
Oh, other Tim.
and then you hit up Ben, and Ben's like, bro, I'm working with my wife at the coffee shop. Sorry.
In Hawaii.
In Hawaii.
Izzy, let it out. Let it out.
So
Guys,
before
let's just talk about it.
Before
But then you got,
hey,
and then
Hold
then
on.
you got like people like Jake, and he's married, and he's like, yeah, I'll come.
Well, me and Christina work together every single day, so it's like it's kind of like she has her time, I got my time. That's how we roll.
Yeah, no, that's really good. That's healthy.
before we wrap up and wrap up this topic with the whole pursuing relationships, us married guys seems like from the deep well of our wisdom to bestow upon you gentlemen. I'd say it's going back to what Ben was saying, where he was like us as men, we're the ones that are supposed to like lead into apologizing, even when it seems like we shouldn't be the ones. Like that's honestly something that I'm still like really trying to learn, because I'd say that's one thing. Like as you're going into that place, like you really just have to have that almost in the back of your mind and start resonating in your hearts now, is that I am the leader. And it's like, and you, I feel like for me, at least when I was dating, it seemed like in the podcast, you won't see my hand gestures, but like you're like here with one another, like you're side by side. And then as you go into marriage, you like feel this like foundation, like drift, kind of like where you take the lead, as it should be. And she's your foundation and she's your helper. But it's like back to what Ben was saying, where it's like in those tough moments, like you lead into victory. And like when I heard him say that, like it's like I realized it's easy to be the leader of an army that's winning the battle, right? Like you're in a victory, you see the victory, like, oh, it's really easy to lead. But it's like you really show what kind of leader you are when you're leading an army that's losing the battle. And there's going to be battles that you're going to be losing throughout life, throughout marriage. But it's like, you're the general all of a sudden, and you're loving your position as a general in the, battle that you're winning. And then the next battle you're losing and you're like, oh, well, my second in command, that was their decision. So, and that's, I think that's really where you kind of have to see that you're the general, and you may have lost the battle, but Jesus already won the war. So
Don't.
Yeah, you wrapped that up real nice.
You may be the general of an army, but don't treat your friends or your spouses as soldiers. Treat them as like equals. You don't. You can't.
soldiers.
Don't
Definitely for
don't just like command command your
Water boy.
Pawns,
don't,
sacrificial pawns.
yeah. Hopefully, we have a chessboard with no pawns on it. We have we have upside down kingdoms. We don't have pawns on our chessboard. We only have kings and queens.
Pawns are in the back. That's all it means.
Come on, I'll be the pawn for all the kings and queens. There you go. Super sacrificial. Well, guys, this was very productive at times and very unproductive at times, but I hope it
Very
blesses.
confusing at times.
I hope it blesses everybody. The funny thing is, there's we're talking about marriage, and though not everybody has like 20 years under their belt, everybody still has like a piece of experience that they can share. And so if you take it for what it is, eat the meat and spit out the bones, I think everybody can get something out of it. And we're thankful for that. You guys
feel
listened to
nauseous.
us. I don't even know how long we talked for, but it's probably a long
We
time.
talked for not including the beginning part.
All I'm
We
saying
got
is
about
Sounding.
2 hours.
you guys are
Really?
lucky that we did
Yeah.
like a
Jeez.
15-minute get most of the heresy out of the way thing.
Yeah. For those
This
of you
was
who-
minimal heresy.
for those
by
who
the way.
didn't know, like who thought we were a little too wild when we were recording, like maybe if you were here for the first 20 minutes, that was impossible.
You won't hear that.
you
Why
by
don't
the
you
way.
listen to it?
You
But
couldn't
Cash
hear
App
your
is like
own
$100
thoughts.
bucks.
We're cutting the first 20 minutes.
Yeah. Okay,
All right,
guys.
bye.
Well, thank you. We bless you. We'll see you next week.